What's something you wish didn't become obsolete because of modernization? Home phones that you can slam down in a fit of anger. Or the clack of a flip phone. Samsung, I heard you like flip phones. We also like them to last more than 3 days. O vertical bar. Samsung mission failed, we'll get M next time. Wait till they bring out the Razr. I had to explain to my daughter why we say hang up the phone. She had no idea what that meant. So I took the picture off the wall that was hanging in front of the old phone jack in the kitchen and explained to her that phones used to hang on the wall and we could only talk on the phone in that room. And when we were done we would hang it up. Giving swords to the people you love as a display of affection. Rather than shooting up a school, teenagers could settle their differences with sword fights like in Shakespeare. Do you bite your thumb at us, sir? I do bite my thumb, sir. No, sir, I do not bite my thumb at you, sir, but I bite my thumb, sir. This dialogue is so good. It's like Shakespeare. Arthur and Le Shakespeare. Dropping in on friends. We're all expected to be hyper aware of each other's schedules, and we're all busy, but not actually doing anything. Somehow this killed the casual social call. Ugh, I hate those. It takes a lot of energy to socialize, and I don't always have it. I probably won't even answer the door. The only people who like casual drop-in social calls are people who don't usually have anything else going on. I hate casual stop-bys because they are always interrupting my carefully planned day. I'm not up for this at all. Who do you think you are, just rocking up and expecting attention from me? Blockbuster, the excitement of finding the new release or game you wanted to rent. I remember that part of the excitement is the trip to the shop itself. Everything about it. The smell of the video store was awesome. Looking at the covers of new movies and games was great. The whole ride home was anticipation of an epic movie video game night. For me, it was local video rental stores. You could find the strangest movies serendipitously. Also they had so much character. We had one in my city that had each genre section decorated. So the horror movies, for example, were in a little haunted house with a mummy and skeleton lit by black light behind glass. Handwritten letters, also talking on the landlines with my middle school buddies before text messaging took over. I write emails by hand. I'm calling the police. And I'm writing the police. Yes, you called, so what seems to be the problem? I always wanted to learn how to do a wax seal on a letter. They look so cool. My dream is to be a lute playing bard singing folk songs in an inn like in Skyrim, but Oh, there once was a hero named Ragnar the Red, who came riding to Whiterun from Old Rorextiad. Side note, Tale of the Tongues. There once was a maiden from Stoneberry Hollow. She didn't talk much, but boy did she swallow our boy howdy a silver. I had a great lance that she sat upon. The braggart did swagger and brandish his blade. Big buttons that go clunk when you press them. Touch screens are useful, but not nearly as satisfying to use. Are mechanical keyboards everything you've ever wanted and more? I used to diss mechanical keyboards until I got one myself. It's just better. Non-mechanical feels like mashed potatoes to me. I was expecting this comment. I can't imagine not having a mechanical keyboard. I'm in university, and I hate using the library computers because they have mashed potato keyboards, especially being so worn out. I know, right? I'm a sucker for physical feedback. The front porch. Obviously we still have front porches, but they were originally made so you could sit and a cool evening breeze and talk to all your neighbors and people on the street. Now the yak inside is better than the cool evening breeze, and most of the people on the street would be appalled if you pried them from their phone, tried to speak to them. When you look at old pictures, there are a bunch of kids playing in the street and everybody sitting on their front porch to see and be seen. New homes don't even have them. It's this lovely space that is halfway between public and private. It helps if the street is narrow enough that a family on one porch can say something to the family across the street without screaming. But suburban streets these days are so wide that this is difficult. Also, cars make it noisy outside. Printed photos. It's so fun years later to go through a pile of photos and look through them all. I feel like when I just have them on a computer they are forgotten. It's barely hanging on. I still shoot and develop 35 and 120mm. It's actually coming back to some extent. Ford reports 5-10% sales increases each year. Darks is finishing a new factory and bringing back one of the all-time great B&W papers. Foam has introduced new papers over the last couple years. Little bits of stuff here and there. I spend hours a week printing in my darkroom, and while some processes get tougher every year, Lith and Bromwell both rely on papers that have pretty much died out. Things are looking hopeful. Though I expect we'll never see cyberchrome, cadmium-based papers, parlograph and polypon, and I don't hold much hope for pack film. At least I can drive out to the store and get paper and chemicals still. Well, even with that, I'm very glad. Any interest people take it in it is just great. More that buy into it means more film and accessories for us. Mammoth hunting with a spear. Actually, as we further modernize, we might be able to use mammoth DNA to revive the species and create mammoth spear hunting parks. I absolutely would hunt a mammoth if I were given the chance. I'm fairly certain the cost would be absolutely enormous, but if it went to helping fund the resurrection of the species, then I would. I guess you could say that it would be a mammoth of a cost. A park with large, ancient animals we've revived? I think I've seen this movie before, and it doesn't end well. It's okay, these ones have hair. Totally different. I second this. As a blacksmith, it's very hard to find business. Toy stores like Toys R Us, those stores were an important part of my childhood. Toys R Us did not get phased out by modernization, they got phased out by horrible leadership that got into a feud with Amazon that led to their e-commerce division essentially being annihilated. Ahem. By being the target of a leveraged buyout that resulted in them being saddled with unserviceable debt. Toys R Us didn't die, it was murdered. Proof they are still operating in Canada. KB Toys was where I went when my mom was shopping at the mall. I would stay there while she shopped, and she picked me up when she was done. Collecting physical copies of music, let it be vinyl, CD'(s) or tapes. I miss buying CDs and reading the booklets. A lot of times they even had the lyrics. I still buy everything on CD. I just don't trust online services to always be around or data to be lost. Amazon usually sell the CD album for less than the MP3 album and include the MP3s when you buy it. I always buy the CD for this reason. Same. Plus, CD data isn't compressed. It's also usually cheaper than an MP3 album. Plus you can rip the CD and have a digital copy too. On Amazon, you don't even need to rip it yourself. You can download the MP3 as soon as you buy the physical CD. Well-preserved nature. Not obsolete, mind you, but less prevalent for sure. I remember huge black clouds of flocks of birds in the sky. I haven't seen that for about 20 years. Yeah, I remember that about 10 to 15 years ago. Why don't we see that anymore? I remember a huge flock of birds flying over the playground in first grade about 15 years ago. It took them probably 10 minutes to pass. Couldn't believe how many there were. Now I never notice birds in the sky, mainly just ones that are on the ground in woodsy areas. Massive destruction of habitat. Pervasive pesticides killing their food bugs. Shifting climate causing species to migrate at different times than usual, and then they miss their food that isn't available like they thought it would be because it's too early late and starve. The last is a surprisingly big one. We are wrecking the climate and it's wrecking the careful balance of species, and they are dying off in the millions. Not just birds either. Memorizing the phone numbers of your loved ones. Postcards. It's so exciting to get a little photo of a world wonder knowing that someone you know was there and thought of you. And Max Offcards would like a word with you. I had no idea about this. Thank you so much. Check out postcrossing. I love sending and receiving postcards, and I've had a great experience with postcrossing. www.postcrossing.com. I still do postcards for the grandparents and occasional letters too. They absolutely love it. iPod Classic. I don't care that it can't connect to internet, Current products of the like don't even come close when it comes to storage capacity. Yes, I really do enjoy listening to 180 GB worth of music. Pretty sure you can throw a micro SD card in an S10 Plus and have way more storage space than that. Battery life I can see though. Just iPods in general. I found my old iPad Nano last year, and while it doesn't have much storage like the classic, there's something so nice about just listening to music. I used to just put my headphones in and listen and do nothing else. Now, with Spotify and Apple Music, I feel like I have so many options that I just continually fall back to the same few playlists. And while I'm listening, I'm almost always checking email and texting and on Instagram and playing games. I miss the simplicity of a device that only played music. I have 2 iPod Classics, and apart from my daughter, there is nothing I treasure more. I can't be bothered with streaming when I can create my own playlists. I have 15 years of saved music and still enough space for another 15. Being able to repair hardware in cars yourself, and just the general right to repair laptop parts are getting smaller, more compact. Before you could remove a battery, HDD, SSD, RAM, etc, and now all of it is soldered directly onto the motherboard. Cell phone batteries too. Likewise, many modern cars have a computer component to them. Means you can't as easily replace some parts. Front rear sensors, ADAS, TPMS, etc. Also this has happened to me before. If your key fob battery is dead and your car battery is somehow also dead too, you're locked out of your car. For unit pickers out there, it's not yet obsolete, but it looks to be going in that direction because of modernization. Fob keys almost all have a small physical key built into them. Most people don't know it's there or how to access it. This has saved me a few times. It's a good thing to check your car manual for before it's a problem, since the manual's probably in the car. Looking at you, John Deere. Manual transmission gear stick. I live in Germany, and for me, it's definitely the minority of people driving automatic. Yeah, automatic is just an American problem. Not really a problem. I enjoyed driving manual until I had to commute more than 15 minutes in traffic. I love driving manual on my bike. The hyper-rawness of the driving experience is awesome and I love being a part of it. I feel more in tune with my bike than my pants. But if I have to do 600 miles in 8 hours, give me an automatic EcoBoosted hatchback any day. Even besides the weather, being able to focus on the road rather than the car is great. Headphone jacks. The latest cell phone trends are trying to remove this simple feature. I treat my phone like a Swiss Army. I expect that all even the most basic features are there. I'd rather keep the headphone jack, but remove the charging port. I like those super cool contact charging concepts where you just place your phone on top of the pad. Key charging doesn't let you move your phone around while it's charging. Can't plug in an aux cord anymore. Boo. Bluetooth isn't high quality either. Proper social interaction. Meeting up with people in person on nearly a daily basis instead of pre-planning everything on social media. Miss being able to show up somewhere and running into people you know to hang out, like at the mall or the park or something. Just wanted to add talking on the phone as well instead of having every single conversation over text. The intimacy of hearing your friends vent with fear, sad, or the excitement of hearing good news is just different when you hear it directly from a person's actual mouth. Wait, people still use phone calls. Texting is more about convenience, but when you need to talk, you can. Yay, the idea of just showing up randomly to surprise someone isn't really a thing anymore. It's sad. Hand engraving jewelry. My dad was a jewelry engraver for 20 years with Tiffany & Co. He even got to engrave one of the Super Bowl trophies, but back in the mid-90s they switched over to laser technology. He lost his job, and it crushed him. It was a super respected craft that became extinct to modern technology. Saw a story on TV about the guy who hand paints lettering on windows. He's like the only one in the Chicago area and basically only gets work because of the novelty. Did his skills transfer to anything else, or were those jobs taken over by lasers too? If he is still looking for work, the high-end firearms industry could use him. Start with Holland & Holland.